GrokTALK.
On healthcare, Jean Shaheen didn't tell the truth.
You can keep your insurance if you like it. It will increase choices for families. It will promote competition.
The facts. More than 20,000 New Hampshire patients have had their coverage canceled. And Obamacare offers only one insurer on New Hampshire's individual market. So next November, if you like your senator, you can keep her. If you don't, you know what to do. Ending Spending, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of GrokTALK, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GrokTALK.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GrokTALK.com.
GrokTALK.
Patrick gave us a high praise during the break because we can move from subject to subject as quickly as we do, and that's bloggers by nature. You know, you kind of become not an expert, but sort of an armchair observer of everything in the culture, and lots of things come your way.
Armchair philosophers, almost.
Almost.
We observe, we digest, and we remember an awful lot, which is kind of helpful.
Yeah, we get to tie these things together, and we do it on GrokTALK every week, and we hope that you listen and enjoy. And part of the reason that you listen and enjoy is because we try to find you interesting local and national guests. And this week we have a guest who spends a lot more time downstairs beneath us than upstairs with us, but we're happy to have him here. Patrick Page, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So you were running for the New Hampshire House.
That's correct.
That is correct. Okay, so why don't you tell us about what district this is and,
Sure, I'm running for the actually the 7th District, which is Warner and Webster, just out there. Hope for House Senate seat. A little nervous right now.
That's okay.
It's always a challenge, and challenges, if you weren't nervous about a challenge, you wouldn't be, I think, taking it seriously.
And of course, this is probably not what you do every week.
No, you want to talk about flags? I'll be all set.
Okay. Well, yeah,
you got a fabulous selection down there, but we'll get back to that. So, well, let's start by what's driving you to want to be in the New Hampshire House for the magnificent remuneration of $100 a year.
Well, I want to keep as much money in my pocket as possible, and my constituents' pockets, and that is we got to get a handle on the taxes and limit that. We got to keep our own money in our pocket. That's one of the main reasons. The other thing is I'm very concerned about my gun rights. I want to make sure that I'll always be able to defend myself and my family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm clicking things while I'm talking here. So, as a small business owner, some of the things that, especially, I always think back to 2010, 2009, when the Tea Party rose up and a lot of local business owners came out and started going to hearings and talking to the Democrat legislature, which had been pretty much running the state for 4 years.
Yep.
Had accumulated a massive structural deficit, had been trying to come up with crazy ways late at night on the last night before the budget was due to tax. You know, they were going to sell parks. They came up with the LLC tax. They came up with the tent tax. They came up with, and this is the kind of crazy last-minute nonsense that you get, and nobody gets a hearing. Nobody gets to, there had to be massive outrage to get them to roll back these crazy ideas they came up with. And so you pay a lot of taxes. You see the BET, you see, for the business enterprise tax. How much, tell us about all these taxes you pay as a business owner.
Well, there's a lot of taxes. First of all, we've got our federal tax. I've got an employee tax. I'm matching the employee's money. I've got the business enterprise tax. I've got, fees. People don't think of fees as taxes, but every time they raise a fee, that's an increase in tax. I have my suppliers, their costs are going up, their supplies. It's like you said earlier, but you said a lot faster than I did.
That's okay.
Everything goes up, and it all comes down to the consumer who has to pay for it, unless I decide to eat it. I've been eating it for a long time. I can't eat it all the time. My price point now has gone up, and then that's going to make my competition even feel better because there's other people on the internet who are lowering the prices. It's just a never-ending battle to try and keep costs down. And all those costs are due to taxes mainly. It's the one partner out there that I don't want to have.
And here we are in supposedly low tax or tax-free New Hampshire. There's no income tax, there's no sales tax. But the costs on businesses are actually enormous. So what you're effectively saying is, because of your total costs of operating a business, you're not actually competitive with businesses operating out of some other states.
No, I'm not. What I have done to combat that, as a business owner, you have to come up with ideas. I've brought in a style of American flag, made in America, of course, but it's happens to be made a little quicker. They use a chain stitch for it. And because of that, they're able to lower the costs on that because they can make more than they can using a lock stitch, which is a better stitch. And I'm able to offer that on the internet as a special to be able to compete against all of the other people with the internet. And, I don't make a lot of money on that flag, but at least I'm competing against them, and maybe they'll buy something else from me.
You get your name in front of them,
Exactly.
They see you, maybe they notice that you're local, and they come visit you. I mean, Concord has a great Main Street.
Yes,
Main Street, a lot of towns in New Hampshire, you're in Massachusetts, New England in general, you have the whole Main Street idea because, you go back 200, 300 years, Main Street was Main Street was Main Street, and at that culture still here, even though there's a lot of my town, Merrimack, doesn't have a main street. We don't have a main strip. We don't have anything called Main Street in my town. I know Londonderry doesn't have a main street, although there is a street that goes through that is the main street, but that's not what it's called. So people don't think of it that way. But as a business owner, Main Street has always suffered because of box stores, because of competition, and that's fine because competition is important. But what you're talking about is the government, not another retailer with a better idea or better connections competing with you. You're talking about the government putting price pressures on you that those big stores can just absorb because they're so huge. They're basically, and I wanted to ask you about the bureaucratic stuff too, because you've got, you may not have this, but you've got DES and all these other organizations in the state, and you've got all the licensing. There's so many pressures in New Hampshire to keep businesses out. It's crazy.
As a small retail store, I don't have to deal with much of that stuff.
Yeah,
I just
that's good.
I don't know that much about it. I got some friends with just I think 47 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Wants to hire some more. He'll put him over 50 employees, and then that kicks in something that he was talking about that it was just like everyone said, don't do it, don't go over 50. It's
like
just not worth it. It was something with Obamacare or something. But
why? I mean, the Democrats talk about being business friendly, but yet you have all these mechanisms to prevent people from hiring, and it's really, really sad. And they don't understand.
You started down a path about buying locally, okay, and that is what I've focused on this past year as my marketing went local. And if people did buy local, that's great. First of all, they are, okay. If we bought American, that's great, and that's out there, okay. But if we could get the state to do everything within the state, that would probably help our economy in New Hampshire quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
If everything went that way. That way, I mean, I've put in for bids. I've lost bids by a few $100s. And what does that do? That sends the money out of state, not in state, where I could have maybe hired another employee with that job, or at least kept my business running effectively.
That's true, although I'm not sure I'd want to put constraints to that extent on the state government. I'd like to encourage them. What I'd be more interested in doing is removing the impediments that are making your business more expensive in the first place.
You certainly could do a much more competitive business if you didn't have all those taxes and fees to deal with. Now, you talk to other business owners, I assume, you guys. Are they pretty much saying the same thing? Do they have other concerns that don't affect you that have probably inspired you as a potential House member?
Mostly just lower the taxes.
Yeah.
That's people want to keep the money in their pocket, If their money's in the pocket, then they're able to donate to a charity, or they're able to do what they want with their money to their extent, not give it to the government, let them do something with it.
You could buy different products to offer. You could pay, a higher wage to people who've earned it. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But Democrats don't want or don't trust people to be charitable. to do the right thing with their own money, to make their own choices in life. They want to make the choices for us. They want to take our money at the point of a gun and give it to people that didn't work hard. I had a wonderful conversation with Pastor Rafael Cruz on Thursday night, and he said, that always is the way to poverty and eventually starvation, when you expect everybody to get the same reward regardless of how hard they work. The people that work hard eventually say, we're chumps, we're not going to do it.
So how long have you been, how long have you had the store in Concord?
I've opened up the store in 1996.
So you've been here a while.
I've been on Main Street since, actually, if you count South Main Street, I've been on South Main Street since 97.
Oh, so I mean, looking back these 15, 20 years or so, how has the culture changed in Concord, the fiscal culture? I mean, you've been here. Is it the same? Is it different? Is it better? Is it worse? I mean,
what I notice is, instead of culture, I notice patriotism. Okay, and obviously patriotism was very high for a while, and now it's mellowed out. And I feel it's starting to come back a little bit. I think maybe people have a little bit more money in their pockets, but that's probably going to go away pretty soon with all the fees that we have.
New Hampshire is in a unique situation. We have one of the highest average annual incomes in the nation. We have incredibly good health outcomes nationally compared to other states. We have very low poverty compared to lowest in the nation. We have the lowest homicide rate. We have very low crime. So, I mean, when you look at the numbers, there's a degree of wealth and prosperity in New Hampshire that has existed for a very long time, and it's the culmination of that hands-off government thing that has been struggling, at least since the beginning of this year, 2006, Gene Shaheen coming into the 2000s, and then, of course, the Democrats had control for a long time and started making some serious changes to the way our government works. But I just, I do know some small business owners. I work for a small business in New Hampshire, and, we've been struggling since to 2007, 2008, and, we went from 36 employees down to like 12. And we can't operate with fewer than 12 employees. So, our latest thing has been that a lot of employees don't work on Fridays now. So they work 4-day weeks instead of 5-day weeks. These are all things we're just adjusting and juggling to keep these people hired and employed so that we can move on other things and try to get the marketing going and try to get sales going and try to get, and the politicians don't seem to care. It's like they don't even see that. Like if you couldn't operate your business 5, 6, 7 days a week, they're just like, well, we need more money for this. I need more money to stay in business.
They don't understand that if they keep on cutting the golden goose, death by 1,000 cuts, eventually there's no revenue, and then they're going to have to go somewhere else. And the other dirty little secret about New Hampshire is that a lot of that high income is actually earned in Massachusetts and brought back home by people that are paying some Massachusetts income tax on top of New Hampshire property tax, and somehow still doing it because the quality of life here is better. Well, but that's not a long-term sustainable operation. You need the jobs to be created here in New Hampshire. Ideally, you want not only people to be educated and stay in New Hampshire, you want people from Massachusetts to come here to work and move here.
And not vote like they're from Massachusetts
yes, and come here for the right reasons, exactly, and not continue to vote for socialism. So.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, pretty quick break, and then we'll be right back.
With Patrick Page.
New Hampshire is famous for scenic drives, but they're tough to enjoy when you're on your way to the doctor. Because Obamacare limits your choices, some will have to drive more than an hour to see a doctor. What's health insurance worth if care isn't there when you need it? Gene Shaheen voted for Obamacare, putting your doctors and hospitals further out of reach. Tell Senator Shaheen Obamacare is not working for New Hampshire.
Congress needs to end wasteful government spending, like the $787 billion of taxpayer money thrown away in the 2009 stimulus package. It may not have done you any good, but U.S. Senator Gene Shaheen's business interest made out to the tune of $78,000. No wonder she doesn't want to talk about it whenever the subject pops up. Call Senator Shaheen and tell her you're tired of wasteful government spending.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee,